Welcome to the live video chat about the Ohio Governor's Expedited Pardon Project. It's hosted today by the West Ohio Conference of the United Methodist Church. My name is Reba Collins, and I lead the Justice Involved Ministry of the West Ohio Conference called All In Community. Today we have 3 project team members with us from the Ohio Governor's Expedited Pardon Project. They will be answering questions about the process, how community members can assist people who qualify for the expedited pardon, and how community members and organizations can partner most effectively to make this process available to the greatest number of people. Our 3 project team guests will introduce themselves in a minute, but first a brief introduction about the Expedited Pardon Project for our podcast listeners. Originated in 2019, the Expedited Pardon Project is aimed at enhancing and expediting the process by which people apply for clemency under Ohio's laws. The project seeks to reduce challenges surrounding a clemency application for people meeting certain criteria, that have exceptional stories, and who can show that they have been rehabilitated and have contributed positively to their communities. This project is faster than the traditional pardon process and provides more support in completing the necessary paperwork and hearing requirements. For information available about the Expedited Pardon Project, you can go to the website at www.ohioexpeditedpardon.org. So before we jump into questions, I invite our 3 project team members to introduce themselves. We have Professor Joann Sahl, and then 2 team members from Ohio State University, Jana Hrdinova and Holly Griffin. So thank you all for being here, and to our participants for being here and agreeing to do this chat as a follow-up to the online training that you created. And so I invite you to introduce yourselves, and we can start with Professor Sahl.
Good afternoon. Thank you so much for having me. As Reba said, my name is Joann Sahl. I'm a professor at the University of Akron School of Law, and most relevant to today, I'm the director of the Reentry Clinic. Our clinic at Akron, we do court sealings, also known as expungements, CQEs, human trafficking, and pardon cases.
I can go next. As Reba said, my name is Jana Hrdinova. I am the Administrative Director of the Drug Enforcement and Policy Center at the Moritz College of Law at the Ohio State University. Quite a long name altogether. My job on this project is more related to the administrative side of things. We are so lucky to partner with Joann at the University of Akron and help support her and her students with our own students who can work on the project as well, and just supporting the administrative side of things.
And my name is Holly Griffin, and I'm also at the Drug Enforcement and Policy Center at Ohio State. So my role here is really engaging with the public, so getting the word out about the project. And you may recognize my voice from the workshop, so doing aspects of the project such as that.
Great, thank you ladies so much again for being here and agreeing to answer questions for folks. I'm going to just start with a few basic questions that actually come from Rebecca Huber. And so thank you, Rebecca, for allowing me to steal your questions and ask them to start off with. One of the first questions is, how has anyone been through the process yet? Because it just started in 2019. Has anybody been through the process yet? And then kind of what were the results of that?
So I'll answer that question, Reba. The governor made his announcement. We didn't start until the end of December of 2019. We started in December of 2019. We had 2 people who had applied for a regular pardon, and their cases were recognized as expedited. So those 2 folks have had hearings before the Ohio Parole Board, and they're waiting for a decision from the governor. And we have a 3rd person scheduled for an expedited pardon hearing next month. The rest of our applicants are all in the process. So we haven't gone long enough yet to have a decision from the governor. And also our friend COVID-19 has been an obstacle, I think, in the process as well, as everyone can possibly understand. But we are working on the applications and we're pretty excited about where we are in the process.
Great. Thank you so much. And then another question I thought a lot of our folks will probably have is, how can I, as an individual, wherever I live in Cincinnati or Dayton or Columbus, how can I help with this?
And I can help answer that. And just before I go into that question, I wanted to add, while we only have 2 people who have been recommended for a pardon, we have received about 40 applications altogether. So those are all going through the process right now. And as the training explains, just the 60-day mandatory waiting period is something that would prevent us from having any results just yet. Like we said, the optimistic judgment is 6 to 12 months for an expedited pardon, which is still about a year shorter than the traditional process. But going to the question of how other people can help, we are very much looking for partners in the community who can help us identify people who can take benefit or who can take advantage of this project, and help them get connected to us. That can include anything from just giving them information, putting up the flyers that Holly has created in your organization, or sharing it via email with your networks, sharing it in your church groups. Any way you can help us get the word out about this project would be very much appreciated. In addition to that, for organizations who might be working with people in the reentry, we are always looking for organizations who can help people fill out the applications. They are not difficult, but as you know, some people still have trouble with filling out forms. It's just not something that they do on an everyday basis, and having help is certainly very useful. Also, writing letters, not just helping the person themselves write a letter explaining, why they are desiring a pardon, but also writing letters in support of the pardon applicants. Every applicant for a pardon is required to have letters of support from community members, from their supervisors, from friends, from family members, from church members. So helping with all those things would certainly be appreciated. Lastly, there are organizations such as Ohio Justice Policy Center who has their own reentry program or their own program for getting records sealed and such, and they can actually work up the application. As you can see from the training, our team or Joann's students actually help applicants work up their full application, which is very time consuming. And we would gladly partner with organizations who do this already, and basically have them help the clients with working at the application itself. Joann, did I miss anything?
I don't think so. I think that one of the things that Jana mentioned is particularly difficult for our applicants is getting all of the attachments and pieces of paper that have to be sent with the full board application. They need information about their convictions. They need to write a letter to the governor. They need letters of support. They need pieces of paper that show they've been a contributing member of their community. It's very difficult for our clients. It's a very time-consuming process. And if they have someone to help them along, that would make a very big difference in trying to finish the application.
Okay, great. And I see we have one chat question, and I'll get to that in a minute. Rebecca's final question was, does this pardon seal a person's record? And is it conditional or unconditional?
So the first question, I'll take the second question first, which is whether it's conditional or unconditional will be up to the governor. Normally, pardons are unconditional, but the governor can place conditions on the pardon. And since we haven't had any expedited pardon cases granted, don't know. That'll be up to the governor. The first question is, currently under Ohio law, a pardon does not seal your criminal conviction. When we started the project, I'll be honest with you, it's one of the conversations we had with the governor's office, was looking to put together some legislation to help with that. And I'm still hopeful that that will be a result of the project, is that we'd have the pardons sealed. For everyone who applies for a pardon through our project, we do examine whether they're eligible for the other remedies under Ohio law, which means, are they eligible for sealing, also known as expungement, or a certificate of qualification for employment. So we either assist them with that, or we give them advice about that as well, because many of the clients who come to us will be doing those remedies as well as working on the pardon application with us.
Okay, great, thank you. So Alice had this question: is this process more about expungement, or will it help with early release from incarceration? She said, when I looked at the information online, I got confused about what was meant by a term pardon.
It is confusing. There are a lot of terms out there. I understand that. So the Expedited Pardon Project does not apply to anybody who's currently incarcerated, because there has to be a 10-year period from the end of your convictions before you're eligible for the project. So it's not going to have anything to do with people who are released early from prison. And expungement is different. It's a process under Ohio law that allows you to seal your convictions if you're eligible. You apply for that in the court where you were sentenced. The pardon is different. It's asking forgiveness from the governor, and the application goes directly to the governor. He's the one making the decision.
Okay, great.
But one of the things that Joann always told us when we first started this, you know, one of the differences between pardon and sealing is that pardon is a subjective decision by the governor. It's in his purview to grant it or not. However, record sealing, and please Joann, correct me if I'm wrong, record sealing is something, if you're eligible, it should be granted. Is that correct, Joann?
The trial court still does have the discretion to decide if the government has, the state has a bigger interest in keeping the records public. But for the most part, you're right, Jana. If you're eligible for sealing, most courts will grant the sealing. The pardon is a very subjective decision by the governor, which is why we spend a lot of time vetting the cases and also in putting the applications together. Because if a client's gonna work that hard on a pardon application, we wanna make sure that the Ohio Parole Board recommends favorably and the governor feels good about granting that pardon. And I've been doing this work longer than I care to admit, over 10 years. So I have a good sense of what the governor is looking for, or what governors in the past have been looking for. And so I'm so thankful that OSU is my partner. So with all of our expertise, we really do try to put together the best picture for the governor in submitting the pardon application, so the governor will be comfortable granting it.
That's a very, very helpful information, and a distinction that I think a lot of us here in the community don't really get and understand until we're involved in the justice system in a not favorable way. So Kathy has a question. Do we have any idea of the number of people who might be eligible in the state?
Joann, would you like to take that?
I've said a lot. You know, we've gotten 40 applications so far, and you know, I'm not discouraged by the number. I'm encouraged because the project started during the holidays, and then we had COVID-19. This is one of the reasons why I think it's so important that we have these events, so we can get the word out to people who are eligible. Because if you're eligible, you should apply. You really should, but I think that the obstacle right now is just getting the information out to people that the project exists and you should apply. Because the governor wants to grant the pardons. I'm telling you, from everything he said to us, there's no limit on the number of pardons that he wants to grant under the Expedited Pardon Project. There's not, oh, we're only gonna do 5 a year. People who are eligible should apply.
Okay, great. That's really encouraging to hear. So I don't have any other questions in the chat. Oh, yep, now we do. Do you have a list of organizations where I can volunteer to help applicants complete the paperwork?
We don't have a complete list of organizations, but I think that's something that, I would assume the local legal aid clinics might be helpful with, in terms of just identifying organizations where you can go and get engaged. Joann, do you have other recommendations?
I would also suggest if there's any reentry coalition in your particular county, that's a terrific place to start, because those folks are already connected with the population and the applicants who would be doing this. So that would be a great place to go as well.
And I know that we have Jamie G on with us today, and she's part of the Montgomery County Reentry Coalition. And then we have Alicia Miller, who's part of Ohio Justice and Policy Center, that I know works in both of those spaces that you recommended for folks. And I don't know if either one of you, Alicia or Jamie, would care to comment on, or from the community perspective, about where Rebecca could go and volunteer. So I'm putting them on the spot now.
Okay, this is Jamie G. Where's Rebecca from?
She's unmuting.
I'm in Cincinnati.
Okay, so Trina Jackson is the director in the Cincinnati Office of Reentry. So she would be the person that I would recommend you connect if you want to connect in that area. But if you travel and you would like to come up I-75, please come to Montgomery County Office of Reentry. Our office is located in the Job Center. Currently, we're working remotely from home, but we have a virtual, Reentry Career Alliance Academy that we facilitate every day. We actually it's going on right now as I speak. But we would be more than welcome for you to be a part of our volunteer, efforts. We have a dedicated volunteer coordinator. Her name is Lisa Singh. And if you email me your information, she can reach out to you. Because there are ways to even virtually help someone volunteer. You don't have to physically be in that location in order to help someone. So we welcome that. Please get a hold of me. You can reach me at geej@mcohio.org. That's GEE, my last name, first initial J, at MC, stands for Montgomery County, Ohio, OHIO.org. Thank you.
And if I could make one more statement about the volunteers, sometimes the applicants, a lot of times the applicants become overwhelmed by the tasks that they have in front of them to put the application together. And my students do a really good job trying to piece it out, but sometimes just an encouraging word to say, you can do this and you can finish, would make a really big difference. And that's something you could do virtually, right? It's hard. It's hard for them to go back and go through, as you can imagine, to retell the stories from their convictions, because most of them are really embarrassed about what happened and have that stigma. And so, we're always saying to them, good job, but sometimes having someone on the outside say, great job, you can finish this and you can do it, would make a very big difference.
So Alicia, would you like to do a quick comment too?
Yeah, we do experience the same thing. We have difficulties with getting people to follow through, and volunteers would be great to assist with that. I know a lot of times I have volunteers that try it because of all of our other projects. We might not have the opportunity to continue to follow through. So that is a good role for a volunteer, to have someone that can assist someone and get them through the process and continue to follow up with them. I'll put the emails in the chat, but we do take volunteers. You can email me, and Laura Beverly and it's amiller@ohiojpc.org and lbeverly@ohiojpc.org. And I will put it in the chat as well. But we work with people on the other forms of relief that Joann mentioned. So helping people get their records sealed and helping people with certificates of qualification for employment. So the CQEs and the pardon is something that we need help getting people to the finish line on.
Okay, great. Yeah. And usually after these chats, I send out a list with names and email addresses just so that you guys can connect as well. All right. So next question is from Wendy Tarr, and I think I know the answer to that. Are sex offenders eligible? And what I read was no, they are not. But correct me if I'm wrong on that. And then how does it relate? How does this process relate to the SO registry?
So while someone is on the sex offender registry, they're still considered to be serving their sentence. So they wouldn't be eligible for any remedies while they're on the registry. And then the list of the prohibited sexual offenses are on the website. Most of them do prohibit someone from applying for the Expedited Pardon Project. Now, understand that is just the Expedited Pardon Project. It doesn't stop them from applying for a regular pardon. It's just the Expedited Pardon. But if you want the list of offenses, the easiest thing to do is to go to the website and check the list of offenses.
Okay, great. So this is a question, just a navigation question, I think, for some of our volunteers is if the pardon is granted, what does that mean for employment as far as felony record or no felony record? Of what, do they have to disclose that or not?
They do until we get a sealing remedy. And what I advise clients to do is write the conviction, say yes, but then write has been pardoned. And then they should submit the warrant of pardon from the governor along with their employment application.
Great, thank you. Another question was, are individuals who are currently incarcerated eligible to apply? That would be a no, because they have to be 10 years out and also not just 10 years from the time they were released, but from completing, if they were on parole or probation, any kind of other community sanctions, they have to be 10 years from completion of that, correct?
Yes, and I also want to point out, they have to have paid their restitution. This is an issue, and I'm sure Alicia will say this too, this is an issue we see in sealings and CQEs. Sometimes the restitution is not paid. It has to be paid. And it doesn't have to be 10 years since they paid it, but it has to be paid before we can submit the expedited pardon application.
Right. This is a question about the background check. One of our people want to know, are there any organizations that you three are aware of that will assist people in paying that background check fee if they're indigent?
I am not. I don't know if Holly or Jana have any other thoughts about that, but I understand that it's a cost, but it was the one way we could get the record in order to do the expedited pardon application. And currently we haven't had any clients say to us that they couldn't raise the money, but unfortunately I'm not aware of the amount of money. You do want to check the Ohio Attorney General's website. I advise clients to do that to see where it's the cheapest in your area, or if driving to the next county it's cheaper, but you can definitely go and price compare on that website, and that's listed on Expedited Pardon website as well.
Oh, that's good information to know. There were a couple of questions between Wendy and Alicia, and I think those got answered. So another question is, do you encourage individuals who are not eligible for expedited pardon to file for general clemency? I think that's
Yes, we do.
Okay, excellent. And those are all the questions that people have posted in chat. Do we have any other questions? Opening it up to folks. Oh, hold on, got another one. Do you, You have different addresses listed based on how you send the application. If the client happens to mail it to the wrong address, will it be rerouted?
That's a university mailroom issue. I know we had someone send their application to the parole board and the parole board forwarded it to us. So I would say the chances are pretty good that they'll be rerouted, but they just really, again, I can't control that because that's a university mailroom issue if they send it FedEx versus regular mail. And I will say that's the one thing I've noticed during the course of the project is so many of the clients are paying for the expensive overnight mail to send the applications to us. They don't need to do that. They can send it by regular mail and we don't have any time, you know, I mean, that it doesn't affect us. I did want to say, this is probably a good time to talk about it. We're very quick in looking at the expedited pardon cases. That when we receive an application in the clinic, we normally look at it in that week or the next week, which means doing a background search, reaching out to the clients. And then once we collect the client information, then we're ready to take a vote and the team votes. So, you know, we really try to process the cases as quickly as we can. Now, obviously, if we get 100 a week, that would be different. But right now, we've been able to process them pretty quickly. But I do want to say, the clients can send the applications by regular mail. I know a lot of people are paying a lot of money to send it by FedEx, but they don't have to do that.
Okay, great. Is there, and I haven't looked at the addresses on the website, is there a reason, is there a specific one that certain people should send to certain addresses, or is it just that you have these two options, 2 or 3 options?
You have 2 options depending on if you use regular mail or if you use FedEx. If you use the U.S. Postal Service, which is what I encourage everybody to do, you can just send it to the regular address.
Okay, great, thanks. Another question, what would be additional benefits does the pardon offer if somebody already has a record sealed?
The additional reason is because the sealing statute has a long list of employers that can still see your sealed convictions. So if you want to work with vulnerable populations or school districts, those folks can still see your sealed convictions. So when people come into the project, that's why we assess them for maybe you need to do a CQE in addition to the sealing and the pardon. Maybe you're going to do all 3, maybe you're going to do 2. So sometimes sealing isn't enough. Sealing sometimes doesn't mean sealed. There are still employers who can see those sealed convictions.
Great, thanks for clarifying that. When there's a new governor, which you know will be at some point, will this program be affected?
Yes, because every governor has you know, it's their prerogative to settle or to design their process as they see fit. What we are hoping to do is to show that this process works, that it is helpful to the parole board by not eliminating any of their work, but just making their jobs a little easier by putting together really solid applications that are easier to process and frankly to say yes to. So we are hoping, and at least that's my hope, I should say, that's just me personally, I'm hoping that if we show that this process is valuable and valid and helpful, that future governors might look at it and adopt the same process.
Right. It's kind of about setting a precedence, so to speak, and a process that does work, and so it'd be really hard to discontinue it with the change in.
Absolutely. And you know, there's no reason why somebody who has changed their life should be settled with the consequences of something a long time ago that they might have done when they were 17 and just not fully developed adults yet, right? So we are hoping there will be a bigger change in the society as a whole, but this is our little piece that we can do right now, and we are hoping it will show beneficial.
Great, thank you. A couple more questions. If the person is homeless, can they list a coalition or a family or an advocate in the address field? How do you address people who are homeless in the application, I guess?
That's fine, as long as we have a way to contact them, and we usually contact them by telephone or by email, that's absolutely fine.
Okay, great, thanks. Another question, the employer, the child care provider, et cetera, still sees the conviction if it's pardoned, correct? I mean, I guess that's kind of what you were talking about. And then does the pardon release negligent hiring liability in the way the CQE does?
So second question first, it does not. Only the CQE statute addresses that negligent hiring piece. And you're right, we remain hopeful we're going to try to get some sealing legislation. But I always talk to clients about how they should report things to employers. And if I've had a court say my conviction should be sealed and the governor says my conviction should be pardoned, then you employers should take a serious look at me when I'm applying for a job. So a lot of it is really advocating, our clients advocating for themselves with the employer and in the employment application.
Okay, great. Then the next question is, if somebody has a large restitution and just, is unable to pay it because it has ballooned over time, or particularly today with our climate, jobs are going to be hard to come by. There's just this piling on, right? The folks that are most vulnerable will continue to be even more so. So anyway, if the restitution just isn't able to be paid, is there any way to get assistance to help lower or eliminate that remaining balance so that they could be eligible for the pardon? Are there any kind of processes or systems or structures in place to lower that restitution?
So first, I don't know of any place that offers assistance. We have encouraged clients, not through the Expedited Pardon Project, to talk with the courts about the restitution to see if they can take a look at it again because it's court issued. But I understand it's a problem. We have a good number of clients that we can't help in our reentry clinic because they do have a large restitution. And especially, most of you understand this, a lot of it is those old welfare cases, right? Where they, had welfare benefits, or they took food stamps, and they have this huge amount of money that they owe to the Department of Job and Family Services. So I wish I had a great answer, but I don't.
Okay. Any other questions from folks? We have about 20 minutes left if you want to use that for other questions or thoughts. Open it up to you. We good? Anything else? Oh, one new message. Is there any chance that those convictions listed as ineligible would be considered?
Not right now. I'm going to use the same word that Jana said, which is hopeful, that as we move forward, I'm hoping that if Governor DeWine sees some pardon applications, not through the expedited pardon process, that has some of those ineligible offenses, he might be more comfortable to open up the expedited pardon process to the ineligible offenses. Remember, I can't say this enough, the ineligible offenses don't mean you can't apply for a pardon. It just means you can't use the expedited pardon process. And I strongly encourage anybody who thinks they're a good candidate for a pardon, even if they have an ineligible conviction, to apply. That's how we're going to educate the governor about good pardon candidates who have ineligible offenses who are listed on the Expedited Pardon Project.
Okay, that is great. Yeah, it's important to put those stories out as well, right? And create a different narrative around certain convictions, that there is that hopeful and there is that opportunity and that possibility for strong rehabilitation and just strong life change, right? So very good. Any other questions for folks?
But there was one more about whether we will be scheduling additional forums or for special group presentations.
There we go. Yes, thank you for that.
The beautiful thing about COVID-19 is it's much easier to schedule things because we don't have to travel for 2 hours back and forth. So at least for the, I don't want to speak for Professor Sahl, but for the OSU team, we would absolutely be happy to do this again, for various people. So yes, we would be happy to do so.
And I would be happy to join my OSU friends in doing presentations.
Well, you guys are being very generous, and yes, I mean the whole, working from remotely and working from home and having the technology has opened up new pathways for learning and connecting and growing. And so, yes, we need to take advantage of those as long as we have people's attention at this point. Any more questions? Yep, Jamie says great. She'll be giving you a call. I know Jamie. She'll be. Yes, can you please list the email website address for this project? Yes, we can do that. I will actually, Joe, I will actually do a follow-up email for everybody who's been on the call today with that kind of information. It's just kind of, meeting cleanup for me to do that kind of stuff. Let's see, I might, pardon me as I read a couple other things. Okay, so.
Reba, just one for the email for the project is DEPC, DEP as in Peter, C as in cat @osu.edu. The emails at the end go to me, so you can also email to me. I don't necessarily want to share it with the public because we want to have a record in the DEPC email of them. But if you have questions about the project in general, please reach out to me personally as well.
Okay, great, thank you for that. So the question, will the audio and hopefully an outline of this call be sent to us afterwards? It's really hard to send audio like this and even video like this, I guess, size of it over email. But what we will do for West Ohio Conference is we will post this as a podcast on a particular website, and I will send you, again in the cleanup, I will send you the link to where you can access this again, along with, and on that will be the link to the actual online training as well. So you'll have both of those. I'm not adept enough. I know that you can do transcripts on Zoom calls. I'm not adept enough yet to figure out how to do that. But you'll at least have a place for the audio to go and re-record, rehear it, and then share it as well. And I had a question, if I could, will the, on the Expedited Pardon Project website, will we be posting the online training to go with that?
Yeah, and I can answer that. So the website just has a few kinds of some limits on what we can post. So we'll be evaluating whether or not or how we might be able to host that video on the website. For now, it is available on the Akron Law Library Guide website. So I'll put that in the chat here. So that link will get you to the video. It's under the Application Help tab. And as a reminder, it's also on Facebook. So that's another great place and location for sharing. It's also helpful because it has captions. So we'll be looking into that, but I'm just not sure exactly when that will happen.
Okay.
Would it be possible to simply share the link to the video on our website?
The video,
For the training.
I'm sorry, say that again.
Would it be possible to share the link to the Facebook video on our website, Holly?
Oh, yes, we can share it on our website. Part of the confusion here is that there's really a main website for the project that has all of the details on how to apply. That's the ohioexpeditedpardon.org website. The DEPC, our center, also has a website. That website has pages associated with the program as well. And then we also have the Law Library's Library Guide, which also has information. So I will be looking into how we might be able to embed that Facebook video on the proper main website for this project. but I just don't have an absolute answer yet. But as I said, it is located in, we'll put it in as many places as we possibly can, so hopefully folks can find it. Although I will say, I think the easiest way to share it is through Facebook if you have access to Facebook, just because of the nature of Facebook and how the algorithms work and videos, etc. But we'll go about placing that link far and wide as much as we can.
So Holly, whenever they search on Facebook for the page, what do they search for?
So right now the video is hosted on our center's Facebook page. So that's facebook.com/OSU Law DEPC, I believe. So I can actually, I'll go ahead and look for that link here and put it in the chat. But if you were to search for Drug Enforcement and Policy Center, DEPC, that it should come up.
Okay, great. Any other questions? We are coming up on our time here shortly. All right. Well, I just wanted to close out by thanking again our guests from the project team for being with us, and also for our participants for logging online and doing this today. Again, you can find out more information about the Expedited Pardon Project at www.ohioexpeditedpardon.org. Also, as I mentioned just a few minutes ago, we'll be posting this live chat as a podcast on the West Ohio Conference All In Community podcast page. And you can find that at www.westohioumc.org/conference/podcasts. And again, I'll send that information out as a follow-up email. Links to the actual online training also will be available on that podcast page. And as Holly said, there are several other sites for that. So if there are no other questions, thank you for that, Holly. You've got all those up there. Thank you all for joining. And I'm going to stop recording now. And if you want to stay on for just a minute or two, that's fine. Or if you need to move on to other things, that's fine as well. But I just want to thank every single one of you for being a part of this and for spreading the word, for working in your organizations to, again, reach them. As Professor Sahl said, there's a lot of people out there that could benefit from this. And so let's keep our eyes and our ears open and work together to really help change the trajectory of thousands of Ohioans' lives. So thanks for being here, and we look forward to our next webinar or podcast. And so I'll be sending out information on that later. Thanks.